All right, let's get right into it. For as long as there's been music, there has been hype. You know, it's that energy, that buzz, that feeling that turns a song into an absolute anthem. The music industry has always been powered by it. But here's the thing. The rules of who actually profits from all that hype, they're changing. Big time.
Think about this for a second. It's a really simple but incredibly powerful idea. When you hype something up, a song, an artist, you name it, you're literally giving it value. You help it trend, you make other people believe in it, and that belief, well, that creates sales. Hype isn't just some side effect anymore. In the world we live in today, hype is the product.
And that right there brings us to the biggest question of this whole explainer. You help a song absolutely blow up with your posts, your videos, your playlists, but do you see a dime from that viral moment? This is the massive disconnect we are going to unpack right now.
So, to really get a handle on the revolution that's happening as we speak, we've got to take a quick trip back in time. Music history is basically defined by these huge tech shifts that changed, well, everything about how we listen. Let's call them the first three revolutions.
First up, you had vinyl back in the 40s. All of a sudden, sound was tangible, something you could actually hold in your hands. Then you fast forward to the 80s and boom, MTV makes sound visual, creating global superstars with music videos. Then the 2000s hit and streaming made sound infinite, giving us access to pretty much every song ever made. Now each one of these revolutions completely changed the game, but they all ended up concentrating power and money into new hands. Which, of course, leads us to today. So what's next?
What's next is actually a response to a huge problem that the last revolution created. In this world totally dominated by streaming, there's this growing imbalance that's affecting every single creator and fan out there. It's something called the attention gap.
So what is this attention gap? Okay, here's the crucial part. It's the massive space between the people who generate billions of unpaid impressions. That's the influencers, the creators, you, the fans, and the companies who are actually cashing in on all that free advertising. Seriously, every TikTok dance, every Instagram story, it's all basically free labor.
This comparison just lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? In the old world, record labels had to pay big bucks for radio airtime to get exposure. But today, social media has turned every single one of us into our own personal radio station, each with a unique audience and influence. The huge problem is, the system just hasn't caught up to pay you for the value you're providing.
And this brings us to the fourth revolution. This one is all about closing that attention gap for good. It's not about a new gadget or a new streaming service, no. It's about a brand new economic model, one that's built on ownership for the very people who create the hype in the first place.
So, one company that's really pioneering this is Oxford Private Studios, and they're using a super simple affiliate model. It works in just 3 steps. First, you sign up and get your own unique link. Second, you share the music you love using that link. And third, anytime someone buys that music through your link, you earn a real share of that sale. Simple as that.
And listen, we're not talking about some tiny token gesture here. We are talking about a 20% share of every single sale that comes through your link. This isn't just a pat on the back, it's a real partnership. It recognizes that your influence is a valuable, crucial part of the business.
And this is where you really see the economic power shift. Streaming pays artists fractions of a penny for a play. It's crazy. But in a direct sales model like this one, the artists and their affiliates can keep up to 90% of the value. Think about it. A single fan buying an album directly can mean more money than thousands and thousands of passive streams.
So what this is all leading to is a whole new economic philosophy. It's a system where your influence, your taste, your ability to get people excited, it's not just social currency anymore. It's a legit, monetizable asset. It's capital.
This whole concept has a name: influence capitalism. It's basically a model that captures all that economic energy that's already flying around social media. Every like, every share, every trend, and it redirects that value back to the people who are actually creating it. The crowd, not a handful of gatekeepers, gets to decide what's valuable.
So why does a model like this actually work? Well, it's built on a few really smart ideas. First, it gets that virality isn't just random luck. You can actually design it by empowering passionate people. Second, it leans hard into direct sales, which are way more profitable for creators. That 20% share, it creates a real long-term incentive, turning your link into an asset that keeps earning. And finally, the whole thing scales through community, with thousands of creators all amplifying each other's work. This might be the most powerful idea of all. Instead of spending all your time trying to figure out what some mysterious platform algorithm wants from you, This system is built on something way more powerful and way more real: authentic human connection. You and your community. You become the discovery engine. You are the algorithm. And at the end of the day, that's what this fourth revolution is really about. Yeah, hype can get you noticed, sure. It can create a huge moment of success, but true, lasting freedom for creators? That comes from owning a piece of the value you help create. It's all about turning your passion into actual equity. So we're going to end right back where we started, with one last question for you. Every single time you share a song you love, you are creating value. This new model says that a piece of that value belongs to you. It's a powerful idea to really let sink in. If your influence truly has value, why on earth would you ever give it away for free again?
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into, well, a pretty complex world, the modern music business. We're going to be looking closely at Oxford Private Studios' OPS. They're making some big claims about starting a new revolution in music.
That's right. It's not just about releasing tracks. OPS is positioning itself as fundamentally changing the economics for creators.
Yeah.
The core issue they're pointing to, it's that the whole industry runs on hype, right? Viral moments, trends, emotions.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the people who actually generate that hype, the fans, the influencers, the early creators, they almost never see the financial benefit. That value gets captured by the big players, labels, publishers, streaming platforms.
Okay, so that's the setup. Our job today is to really dig into this. First, understand their model, this affiliate-driven thing they're doing. And second, we need to be critical. Ask the tough questions. Is this really sustainable? Can it actually challenge the giants like Spotify or the major labels? The big question for you listening is, how exactly does OPS plan to turn something as fuzzy as hype into actual spendable currency?
It's a fascinating proposition, trying to shift music away from just being, background noise in a subscription back towards something people value directly.
Right. Let's start with the problem they say they're solving. I'll put on my skeptic hat here. Streaming is everywhere. It's easy, it's cheap, billions of tracks at your fingertips. Why is that system broken? Specifically for the people actually driving the discovery. Trying to pull people away from that convenience seems, well, incredibly difficult, like fighting gravity, as you mentioned.
Fighting gravity, yeah. It feels that way. But it's broken because the maths just doesn't add up for most creators. Artists get those tiny fractions of a penny per stream. We all know that story. But OPS argues the problem runs deeper. It's about the secondary creator getting completely ignored.
The secondary creator, you mean like
Yeah.
the person who makes the TikTok dance that makes the song blow up?
Exactly. Or the curator of that massive Spotify playlist that suddenly breaks an artist. Or the influencer whose reel goes viral using the track. They're essentially acting as a free marketing department. They generate billions, literally billions of impressions using their own time, their own influence, promoting someone else's product. Every share, every post, it boosts the value of that artist's catalog, which benefits the label or the platform. And the person who did the work, they get zero. Zip, nada.
Right. That does feel fundamentally unfair when you put it like that.
Yeah.
Giving away your influence, your attention, for nothing tangible in return.
And that disconnect, according to OPS's thinking, is what they call the attention gap. It's this massive space between who creates the attention and who ultimately pockets the cash from it. They use a pretty sharp analogy. Think back to old radio. Labels used to pay radio stations a lot of money to get their songs played, right? For that exposure.
Sure, payola scandals aside, that was the model.
Well, OPS says in today's world, you, the influencer, the fan with the following, the playlist curator, you are the radio station now. You have the audience. You have the trust. But the system hasn't caught up. It hasn't been forced to give you your cut of the value you create.
Okay, so if the old system is rigged to extract value from unpaid influence, the solution has to rewire how the money flows. How does OPS actually do that? How do they insert themselves without just getting crushed by the sheer convenience of Spotify and Apple Music?
Well, they bypass it. They're merging affiliate marketing principles with music culture through a direct-to-consumer model, DTC. The whole thing operates outside the main streaming systems. It's designed, they claim, for transparency and direct reward.
So no streaming plays involved here. People are actually buying music directly.
Yeah.
What does that look like? How do you convince people to buy music again when it's basically free everywhere else?
It's sold via the OPS portal, and it's usually not just a basic MP3 download. They focus on bundles, maybe high-fidelity audio files, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, limited physical copies, maybe even NFTs for certain uses. It's about offering something more, something exclusive, to justify that price point, often somewhere between, say, £10 and £25. It creates a direct, trackable link between the artist, the fan, and, crucially, the person who referred them.
All right, the affiliate part, that seems key.
Yeah.
How does that work mechanically? And how much are we talking? It needs to be enough to make people actually bother.
Right, absolutely. It has to be substantial. Your typical affiliate deal might be, 5%, maybe 10% if you're lucky. OPS's core mechanic is what they call the 20% share rule. Simple as that. Sign up as an affiliate, get your unique link. If someone buys music through that link, doesn't matter if it's a single track or a big bundle, you, the affiliate, get 20% of the purchase price instantly.
20%. Okay, that is quite high compared to standard rates. Let's make that concrete. Walk us through an example.
Sure. Let's say someone buys a £20 album bundle through your affiliate link on the OPS portal. Boom. You instantly get credited £4. Now, think about streaming. The usual payout rate is something like £0.00024 per stream, maybe even less. To earn that same £4 from streaming, you'd need, around 1,600 or 1,700 streams.
Wow, okay, that's the difference. One loyal fan making one purchase is worth potentially thousands of passive streams. That's not just a small thank you. That's a real financial stake. That's how they're turning that attention into actual cash. The influence economy they talk about.
Exactly. It reframes genuine enthusiasm. It's no longer just wasted energy from a financial perspective. It becomes a partnership. If your recommendation leads to a sale, you get rewarded for your taste, your influence, your effort. And they highlight artists like Chidi Keto, Dan Azuri, Jude Merrow, Silent Dolly, saying their careers are being built this way, completely outside the traditional streaming path.
Okay, but here comes the big skeptical pushback. It sounds great in theory for the artist and the affiliate who makes a sale. But how is this sustainable? How does it scale? We're asking people to change their habits, leave the apps they use every day, and go make a specific purchase on a specific portal. Isn't DTC music always going to be a niche thing compared to the sheer volume and, frankly, the ease of use of Spotify with its 500 million users?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And OPS seems to have anticipated this. They offer basically 4 main arguments for why this model isn't just wishful thinking, why it's built to last. They argue they aren't trying to beat Spotify at the volume game. They're changing the math, focusing on much higher value per transaction.
Okay, I'm listening. Lay out this case for sustainability. What's point 1?
The first point is almost philosophical. Hype equals perception equals success. They argue the virality they aim for isn't just luck, it's designed. By rewarding people financially for genuine enthusiasm, the marketing becomes inherently authentic, driven by real connection. Think about it. Instead of dropping £10,000 on some marketing agency for an ad campaign that might flop, they distribute that same potential budget directly to thousands of individuals who actually believe in the music and have a vested interest in seeing it succeed. It turns marketing from just a cost into a shared revenue stream.
Okay, but couldn't that incentive also create fake enthusiasm? People just spamming links to get their 20%? Doesn't that risk undermining the authenticity you just mentioned?
It's a risk, yeah. But the model has a kind of self-correction built in. You only earn if someone actually buys. So just spamming links everywhere to people who aren't interested, that's just wasted effort for the affiliate. The incentive is aligned with genuine conversion, not just noise. Which leads to their second point, the core financial argument. Direct-to-consumer sales beat streaming economically.
We touched on the 4 pals versus 1,700 streams example. What's the bigger picture on the value chain?
Well, with streaming, maybe 70% of the revenue goes to rights holders and publishers before the artist sees much, if anything. It's notoriously opaque and complex. With D2C sales via OPS, they claim the artist and the affiliate together can capture up to 90% of the sale price. The economics are just fundamentally different. So you don't need millions of low-value streams. You need a smaller, more dedicated group of fans willing to make that purchase, often because an affiliate they trust recommended it. That one purchase, as we saw, can be incredibly valuable.
So higher value per sale means you need fewer sales to make it work. The scale required is different. You need community density, not necessarily global reach.
Exactly. Which ties into their third point. The 20% share creates long-term incentive. This isn't like a typical ad campaign that runs for a week or an affiliate cookie that expires. Your referral link is potentially active forever. If someone discovers the music through your old post, months, even years later, and clicks that link to buy, you still get that 20%. It embeds the affiliate in the long-term success.
Wait a second. If that 20% is always going to the affiliate, doesn't that potentially cut into their artist's own earnings over time?
Yeah.
Does it make the artist maybe too reliant on this network of affiliates, possibly hindering their own direct connection with fans?
That's a fair point to raise. OPS would likely argue it's a synergistic dependency. Because the profit margin on a D2C sale is so much higher for the artist anyway, they're keeping, say, 70% instead of fractions of pennies, that 20% paid to the affiliate isn't really lost revenue. It's essentially replacing what they would have spent on traditional, often less effective marketing. They're paying the community to be their marketing engine and arguably getting a better return and a higher net profit per sale than streaming could ever offer.
Okay, so reframing the 20% not as a cost, but as the enabler of that high-value sale in the first place.
Yeah.
Makes sense. What's the fourth leg of their argument?
The fourth point is that the model scales with community. It doesn't rely on convincing one or two mega influencers. It's designed to work with potentially thousands of smaller creators, micro-influencers, dedicated fans, all building momentum together. They talk about compounding hype. When you have thousands of motivated advocates pushing simultaneously, the collective impact can be huge, potentially more resilient and authentic than a top-down ad blitz.
So they're fundamentally placing their trust and their marketing budget in the hands of dispersed individuals rather than centralized agencies.
Pretty much. Their core message boils down to, you are the algorithm. Stop chasing the opaque rules of platforms. Become the driving force yourself. This structure, where taste and influence are directly rewarded with financial value, is what they've termed influence capitalism. It flips the script, they say. The crowd, the community decides what has value and gets a piece of that value. It's about ownership for tastemakers. The ownership era.
That's a powerful way to frame it. Okay, so let's try and summarize the core idea here for everyone listening. OPS is essentially trying to capture the economic value that's currently lost in all those likes, shares, and viral moments. And crucially, redirect that value back to the people, the fans, the influencers who created the initial buzz. The idea being that hype without ownership is just wasted potential, wasted energy.
That nails it. It's presented as a shift away from just trying to game algorithms towards actually shaping and moving culture deliberately. It offers a pathway, at least in theory, to turn your passion and your voice into something tangible, into equity. And that potential reward is how they justify asking people to step outside the sheer convenience of streaming.
It definitely makes you rethink the economics we take for granted in the streaming age. The inefficiency is pretty stark when you lay it out like that.
Yeah, it is. And maybe that leaves us with a final thought, something for you to chew on after this deep dive. If a model like OPS can successfully replace the huge traditional marketing spends, the agencies, the ad buys, all of that, by instead giving direct financial incentives to fans and creators for authentic advocacy, how might the actual music change? What happens to the quality, the focus, maybe even the genre of music that succeeds when its promotion is driven entirely by people who genuinely believe in it and are rewarded for that belief, rather than by calculated top-down marketing campaigns?
Does better, maybe more authentic music naturally rise to the top when the people promoting it truly love it and have a stake in its success? Definitely something to think about.
Indeed. Thanks for digging into this one with me.
Absolutely. Catch you next time on The Deep Dive.